She is the founder of Beyond the Event and the PIE Network, PIE, People in Events. She specializes in turning events into experiences and crafting memorable moments that attendees will take away with them for years to come. And for those that didn't attend, that dreaded FOMO. We know that the best experiences are those that everyone wants to be at. And when that event is over, it's all your attendees can think about and talk about. On this session, you're going to learn how to create that fear of missing out among your community pre-event and watch the afterglow among attendees for weeks and months when the event ends. Please join me in welcoming Valentina Ruffoni.
Let's talk about events. We're at an event, so why not talk about them? And FOMO, fear of missing out, and what that can do for your events in making them more successful and turning them into these extraordinary experiences for your community. So, now I know a lot of people learn in different ways. So, if you would like to follow along today, I've put this Notion page together so you don't actually have to make any notes whatsoever. Feel free to scan that code now. I'll give you a moment to do that. Um, and while you're doing that, I will introduce myself. So, hi everyone, I'm Valentina. I am an event manager and strategist. Spent a lot of time building communities. But last year, I decided that I wanted to niche out into the one of many responsibilities of a community manager and just work on events. I am an event person by degree. Um, and I've been so lucky to step into the community world, but events are my jam. And I this year created my own company called Beyond the Event, which is an event management and strategy company that helps turn ordinary events into unforgettable experiences. And I help individuals and companies, communities really put that like magic stamp, I'm going to call it, on their events because there's so many events happening, too many, and you really have to stand out. Beth mentioned the Pi Network. This is a passion project of mine. And basically, I realized when I transitioned from the community world and all the amazing people that I'd met at CMX and all the other places, had so many people around me. Then I went into just events and I was like, where are my people? So, in a true community manager fashion, I created a community. Um, and I was thinking, people in events, P-I-E, pie. And that's where it started. So, yes, we do eat pie at our events. We are an international community of people from over 8 different countries. There could be event planners, community managers, audiovisual technicians, catering providers, musicians, all that kind of stuff that want to connect, learn, and share whilst eating pie. And that's what we do at our events. It's a great little community, and I'm so proud because I don't know if you would agree with me. I hope you do. But when you're planning an event, there are so many moving parts and there are so many different people you might need to bring in. And the research that's needed to find those people can take forever. So, my plan is to get as many of those people together because I truly believe on the power of who you know. And you never know who might know someone who knows someone that can help you with your next event. So, that's what our network is all about. Um, a few fun facts about me. I am a leopard print lover, if you haven't noticed. And actually, I spoke at an event the other day and I forgot to wear leopard print. And today I was like, I need to wear it. I love the sun. I live in Madrid in Spain and the sun is there most of the time. And I'm a big pasta addict. I mean, those of you that work in events or even like doing the amount of sheer work that we do for community, carbs are our best friend. They get us through the day. And actually, right after this session, I will be eating pasta. So, yeah, love pasta. So, what are you going to learn today? There's 3 things that I want you to take away. The first thing is what drives FOMO and what that can look like for your events, how to implement pre event hype strategies because you want to hype people up and basically get people ready for your event. And anyone that's not coming, so much FOMO that they're like bursting. And then ways to create that post event afterglow, I'm calling it, because it's like, when you leave an event and it's just been the most amazing experience, you feel kind of like glowy. And I'm just visualizing all of your attendees like virtually or in person walking around with like a halo around because they're feeling so great after an event. So that's what I'm going to try and teach you today. So I hope that is good. So I want to find out a little bit more about those that are watching. Now, you don't have to necessarily share this in the chat, but you can if you want. I want you to think about, what does FOMO feel like to you? I'm sure there's been times when you felt FOMO. Like, what comes to mind when you feel FOMO? I'll tell you what I feel like. So for me, it's a combination of anxiety with excitement, and then like that nagging feeling of like someone on your shoulder, like, just do it, come on, just do it, go on. You get kind of restless, you get very fidgety, and the thought of missing out or being left out of something just does not sit well. So I don't know if anyone else like can relate to that. I'd love to know, but that is how I feel. And that is the way you kind of want your attendees and potential RSVPs to think about your event. Okay. So, what drives FOMO? What gets people feeling this way? I've worked out there's 8 different things that can drive FOMO, which can really help you when you're planning your community experiences to be able to create it. So, the first thing I'm calling the golden ticket, and this is all about making things exclusive, limited edition, limited numbers, getting people like feel that sense of urgency that they are missing out if they don't sign up or if they don't do something really quickly. The next one is all about community influence. I mean, I know for one, if somebody says they're going to something or they're speaking at something and they're somebody that I like and want to be near, I want to be there too. So that really drives it as well. This kind of goes into like the build up buzz and how you're building your event and announcing things that are happening and counting down to what's going to happen. So this can really create FOMO as well. Something else that's really great for doing this is one-time things, one-time magic moments. And maybe this is not something you've explored before, but doing something once can really make people feel like they need to be there if it's never going to happen again. So if you're doing, say, a product launch, for example, or a celebration, a milestone of some sort, this is really good. Viral vibes, I'm calling it. And this is when something goes viral about your event and you feel like you're the only person not going and that you need to go, and you figure out a way of going to that event. Very similar to the influencer glow. These are the people that are really big in the community or in the industry that you're in, that normally are going to be at the event speaking. And you're like, I need to go and see that person. I need to go and meet them, get, I don't know if we're doing it now, but autographs. I think that's probably way in the past now. Or a photo with them. That can really create FOMO if you know someone's going to be there that you like. Now, this one I love the most because this one I feel like is the one that can really resonate with us as community builders and our members. And that is the heartfelt hook. And this is all about the emotion that's attached to FOMO. When people realize that there's an opportunity to connect with other people, other members, this can deepen the level and enhance their sense of belonging. So, this is something you're already doing in your community by having the community, but you can also do that with events. And then the last one, well, I think it's self explanatory, but if you're going to do an in person event in the most amazing venue, it's Instagrammable or whatever we're calling it, like, and some people have always wanted to visit this venue or go to this venue, that can really create FOMO. So, those are the 8 things that drive it. So, keep those in mind. Now, why is FOMO important? Because there's no sense in creating FOMO if it's not important, right? And it's very important because, as I mentioned earlier, it drives urgency, and this is important for you when you're looking to drive RSVPs to your events, to drive them to attend. It's also good at enhancing your social proof of your event by people getting jealous and anxious about a particular an event that's coming up, and they're seeing it everywhere. This can then mean that your event is going all the way out into a massive, massive audience and potentially helping to boost the attendance. It's important because it builds anticipation. What you want from your experiences, people to be so excited for that 1 or 2 days that you're doing an event, that they're bursting from within. It also extends the afterglow, and I'll talk about the afterglow in a moment. But as I mentioned earlier, it's all about how people feel after the event, which is so important when we're talking about community building and loyalty and retention, and those next events. It taps into belonging. We all know that our community members want to feel part of something, and that's why we're creating these communities. But events can also do that too. And then, as I said, it increases loyalty because they get this feeling that they can't miss out. So they're going to come back time and time again. So, what can you do? Now, there's a lot of strategies that you could put into place pre event and post event, but I've chosen four for each for today because I don't want to overwhelm you. So, how do we create the pre event hype that can increase FOMO? Some things you can think of, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing these, but sneak peeks and teasers, they don't have to be anything fancy. It could literally be a blurred out picture of something that people have to try and figure out what it is. I did this for my wedding. And what I did is I got a box of props that people could like pick up during like the dance party, a few like kids instruments and things like that. And I used to take weird pictures at different angles, be like, get ready for this. Again, it builds that anticipation. Speaker and attendee involvement like this can do wonders, because if you can get every single speaker that's going to be at your event to share they're going to be part of that event, and almost all your attendees, you can imagine how far that can go in terms of reach. It can entice people that may have never heard about your event before, or pop up on someone else's feed that kind of knew about the event but was like, and then they start seeing it everywhere else. People often see that as a sign. So that's a really good one. I mentioned this earlier, countdown campaigns. I don't know what it is about counting down to something that people just love. Now, you don't have to do a big countdown, like 100 days until our next event. You could do 10 days, 20 days. And what I've seen that works really well is if you can announce something different every time you count down. And it doesn't have to be a big activity or activation or speaker, but something different in that countdown announcement to get people excited. And then, what is an event without a pre event, right? I've been to events before, and a lot of you will probably resonate with me in that you often go to events alone. You don't necessarily know so many people. Why not have a pre event, either the night before or whenever you can do it before, that's more casual, smaller in size, that people can get to know each other? Then, when it's your big main event day, people are coming, they already know each other, they feel comfortable, and that can just bring down those barriers of social anxiety from the beginning, and they're able to fully enjoy the day that they're experiencing. This is, you can also do this for virtual events as well, by doing a small little pre-event virtual meetup, so that when people join on the day, they're like, oh, hey, Valentina, like, rather than like, oh, who are you, kind of thing. So think about that. Again, none of this has to be on a big scale. And I think as community people, we often get a lot of great ideas. Like, we could do this, we can do that. But remember, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple and consistent. So those are the creating of pre-event hype. Now let's think about how we continue the party into the afterglow. And I would sing one of the songs that mentions the afterglow, but I'm not a singer. But I'm just going to say, meet me in the afterglow, as Taylor would say. What can you do post event that not only for those that attended, that afterglow keeps glowing, But those that didn't attend, that FOMO is even higher because they already missed their chance. They could have signed up, you gave them all the opportunities and they didn't. Now, what we're going to do is make them feel even more a sense of FOMO. I don't even know what, like, it should be another word in my opinion, but I haven't thought of that. So, prove what happened. Pictures, videos, quotes. I mean, I don't know what else you could say, but all that stuff that you would have collected from the event, snippets from sessions, share those, get people to see them, remind your attendees what happened. Because I'm sure at events, a lot of stuff happens and it's hard for attendees to remember everything. So remind them. Also, tell those people that didn't show up what they missed. Get your community involved. Create a separate group or discussion and ask people to share their pictures, their thoughts, what were their key takeaways from the session. We know that our members are very vocal when we reach out and ask them to get involved, so get them to share. The next one, it seems self-explanatory, but I feel like we can do a much better job as community professionals. Continue the conversation. Whatever happened at your event, whatever sessions you had going on, whatever you were talking about, continue that conversation. There's only so much you can talk about in a 30-minute session, right? I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I've only got a 30-minute slot. So bring your speakers in to the extended conversation, do an extended Q&A, increase that FOMO and that afterglow so that the conversation can keep going, and this can help your attendees feel more loyal and come back to your community. And then, as we're talking about events, please, please, please promote your next event. It doesn't matter if you're doing an event that's once a year, once a week, once a month, always have another event that you can promote at the end of the current event, because this is the prime time for getting those first RSVPs. You've got the people in the afterglow who are like, yeah, sign me up. When's the next one? You've got the people who didn't attend, whose FOMO is raging now, that they will certainly jump on the next event. So if you take anything away from this particular slide, it is promote your next event. And I want to leave you with one thing that I want you to remember. If you don't remember anything else in what I've said today, the real magic happens beyond the event. So really think about that in your strategy. Thank you, everybody. I've got two QR codes here. If you'd like to find out more and join the Pi Network, there's one for that. We're doing an in-person event in London in a couple of weeks' time. There will be pie. Not sure if it's savoury or sweet yet. That's up to debate. And I'm very active on LinkedIn, so please connect with me if we aren't already connected. And I guess maybe it's time for some Q&A.
Yes, it is. Thanks for the amazing session, Valentina. And this is probably the third time I'm in a virtual event with you. Like I've not been lucky enough to meet you in person. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention this. You're one of the most, I would say, active person on LinkedIn, because I almost see you on LinkedIn all the time. I just saw a post sometime back. So yeah, I think it was a very informative session, especially with so many of us trying to kind of design our own events with CMX and our CMX chapters. Um, I love the checklist that you had in terms of what creates FOMO. And this is like a great abstract information that we have from your slide deck. One of the things that I would like to, there's an amazing question in the Q&A, but I'll just want to ask this. Um, like we see we have like different communities. We have communities that are just starting, and let's say we have like communities where we have had like 100 members who have attended, and then there may be 500, and then 1,000. So is there a way for me to kind of have like prioritize those 8 or 10 things in a way, triggers that you can use to create FOMO, and then probably like a framework that leads us to kind of designing it? Because I think that will be really helpful. So yeah, is there any resource which is like on top of it?
You broke up a little bit when you were speaking there, but I think you were asking if like is with those 8 things that that create FOMO, is there any kind of frameworks around that? There isn't
Yeah.
anything that I've created, but that doesn't mean I can't create something. Um, I think for those particular, if I go back very quickly to those here, um,
Yeah, this one.
I mean that's a lot. That's a lot of things. I think what my advice would be for this is to think about what kind of experience or event that you are creating and what makes sense. For example, like the golden ticket option, if you aren't able to offer limited amount of tickets, and this also depends whether you're potentially charging for an event or not. This might not be on the top of your list, but if I'm just looking at this at a glance, I mean these are not in any particular order. Like the golden ticket isn't number one. The ones that I would probably focus on is one, the heartfelt hook, the emotional part, because we're already doing that within our communities, so it should be quite easy to build on. The community influence, of course, of getting our communities involved and sharing, to build that FOMO, and the build up buzz. Like we we create content for our communities on a daily basis. um we plan content, we're always doing challenges or specific topic threads, so this should come quite easy to a lot of us, um because I appreciate that events is one part of community building, that people are doing full time. So I really don't want you to leave this webinar today feeling like, oh my god, there's just so much I need to do for an event. Use what you're already doing in the community and tailor that towards your events. That would be my advice.
Thank you. Yes, and if you're building something, let me know. I would love to kind of see in what ways can I contribute. This is a very interesting question around what are some key mistakes that organizations make while trying to create FOMO for the events, and how can they avoid those pitfalls while still generating enough excitement?
Mm,
So, over to you.
yeah, that's a great question. um I feel like the mistakes people make is trying to do too much, like over, like, oh, I want to say over delivering is coming to mind, but that's not the right word I'm looking for. Like they're just they're putting too much in your face
Yeah,
about the particular event, that like it
spamming.
it's almost like spamming. So that fear of missing out is just like it's almost turns to like the joy of missing out, because you don't you don't wanna go anymore because
Yeah.
it's just too much. Like, you can often tell when a particular company is doing too much, and it's like, "Oh, here we go again. They're posting about this again." I think there's definitely a happy medium. Like, you want to promote what's happening, you want to create that FOMO, but don't create the JOMO. Is what I'm calling it, the joy of missing out. Like, I know fear is maybe a scary word, but you don't want people to think like, actually, I'm okay with missing out on that event. Like, that is the last thing you want. So yeah, overdoing it on everything, um, and doing too much, which is why I only shared 4 things here, um, in my slides on what you can do. Uh, Pre-event and post-event, and I'm not saying you should do both, all 8 of those. Like, pick 2 that make sense and do those really well rather than doing anything and everything. um I remember a quote that Sammy Hepburn said a long time ago at a CMX event, saying, "You can do anything, but you can't do everything." And that's something that stuck with me for years. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to do everything, because you're not going to be able to do it well. So do what makes sense well, basically.
Yeah, saying, and I think that is definitely something that kind of helps, because I totally relate to what you're saying. I kind of have had events where I have like too much information about an event, and yes, that kind of has becomes like counterproductive over time.
Yeah.
There is a very interesting question that I'm going to read from the Q&A,
Mm,
which is about how do you avoid generating resentment, negative feelings when using FOMO to drive your event strategy. Because so FOMO is also a strategy, and people have kind of started to learn more about it. And a lot of times when I see like clickbait, something that's clickbaity, um, actually triggers. Although I would like to I would have loved to go to the event and gained a lot from it, but then because of this one thing, it kind of triggers some kind of resentment or a
mm.
negative feeling, which eventually kind of becomes like kind of mitigates the kind of trigger I would have to go and join the event. So, are there any behavioral or I would say conversational tips that you have around things that we need to take care of while creating those communications?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it now. I think it's a lot to do with how you say it, how you how because let's be honest, a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be posts of some sort, announcements of some sort, and that's going to be quite heavily text based. So really thinking about how you are wording things, because you can definitely word um, a strategy that you're trying to create FOMO in a positive way, um, rather than saying, if you miss out on this, it's like the end of the world. Like there's ways that you can say things that create positivity. And something that I think is really important when you are trying to create that FOMO is focusing on the value that you are going to bring to that event. What are people going to leave with at that event? They're going to leave learning X, Y, and Z. They're going to have connected with these people. You need to really leverage like how you're going to make their lives better by attending, rather than making them feel like their lives are worse by not attending. And maybe the again, the word fear in FOMO is not the right word to be using, because fear brings up negativity. um we should create a whole new word for that. But yeah, that's what comes to mind when I think about how to mitigate negative thoughts, is you as community professionals focusing on the positive, focusing on why this event's happening, or why they should be there, what they're going to get, how they're going to advance professionally, um, by coming along to this event, um, can really help stop with the negativity.
Thank you. I think we have a few more questions, but we are kind of exceeding the time. And Beth is here, so we know we are kind of overrunning.
That's exactly right. That's how you know that time is up, is when I show up.
Yeah.
I have made sure I've shared or I've copied those unanswered questions. So Valentina will reach out to you and make sure that we can get those questions answered in some other way. Thank you so much for joining us, Valentina, and thank you for moderating our conversation, Shweta.
Thank you.
Thank you.